Coach Kredens, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure, Lance.
I know you had a great season, first ever for cross country.
Right.
Can you break down like the season for me, for like the viewers pretty much?
How to break it down? It's hard to break down the first season, but when you look at it, we had a pretty good first season because a lot of times you don't know what to expect. You know, brand new program, cross country at the university, joining the NAIA, and now we're going to be in the CCAC. And some of the runners that I had run in college before and in high school, but it was just fun. We learned a lot, we grew, and we learned how to do things better for next year.
You know, each coach has their own philosophy in coaching and dealing with education and actually coaching the players.
Right.
So what is your philosophy in education and coaching?
Jason, every runner is an individual in terms of in the classroom and how they run, how they tackle the sport. Some kids might want to go out there, well, young adults now, they might want to go out there and they just want to get running right off the bat for practice. Others want to kind of ease into it. Everyone is different, you know, every runner is different. And that's what I've learned over the years, is that I can't expect them to all be alike. I mean, I have a philosophy that they have. I'm all for miles in the summer. We have to work on speed. We have to stay focused. We have to stay hydrated. We have to eat well, sleep well, make sure we go to class. And those are my basic philosophies. But for an individual, every runner tackles it differently.
You know, each coach has their own type of role models growing up, looking after like coaching-wise. Who were your role models growing up as a coach?
My role models growing up as a coach, a lot of different sports. It's hard to say. I always liked. We're kind of going back here. As a coach, kids I liked as a coach. Well, when I was a kid, you had to like Vince Lombardi, for football. Even though I was young at the time, you always knew he was good, and to an extent George Halas with the Bears. I mean, here's a guy, he would fire himself and hire himself back up on the, as a coach. He loved the game. Baseball coaches, there's a lot that's hard to say right now, but I like a coach who has a respect for the game, who has a respect for his players. Doesn't necessarily have to mean that he was the best player, because a lot of times the best coaches weren't the most successful athletes, but they knew the game, they knew how to get a lot out of their players. And that's what I kind of look toward.
And dealing with practice makes perfect, Coach.
Yes. Overall,
like, what do you send your players daily through practice? Like, what is your practice resume? Like, what do you do with your players daily?
Daily we'll have the agilities. We'll work on core, obviously, and some days we'll have a speed workout. And other days, guys, you're going to go out and you're going to do 8 miles today. You're going to do 10 miles, and I want you to get it done in X amount of minutes. And that's what they try to do. And that's what they work toward. I like to try to get them to run together in packs, because that's how they're going to run at a meet, and they can also help each other out when they're running. Hey, come on, you're slowing down. Let's go. And come on, you got to stay with us. But I have different things that you do every day. What you have to do. You have to work on miles. You have to work on speed and exercises. Core, obviously, agilities, workouts. Do everything you can not to get injured.
You have a great core of players overall. How do you deal with each person personality-wise?
Like I said, every person is different. Some of my runners, they like the rah-rah thing. They like to be encouraged all the time. And then others say, that's good, coach. I appreciate that. And they don't need as much nurturing. They don't need as much backslapping. And then other guys really need that, or some of the other girls, they really need that nurturing. They really need that positive reinforcement. And you just have to know what you learn what they want, what works best for them. And what works best for them is going to work best for myself as a coach.
I see you have a long resume of coaching. You've been coaching over 15 years.
Yeah.
What adjustment did you have to make as a college coach now? I know you coached high school for 15 years.
Right.
What adjustment did you have to make going into your first year as a cross-country head coach at Governor State University?
I think, is the maturity level. A lot of these kids now, they're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. And you don't have to, excuse me, you don't have to really I wouldn't say yell at them, but you don't have to. You just treat them differently. And you have to remember the workouts are going to be different because the guys at a college race, they're going to run 5 miles. They're going to run 6 miles at a race. The girls are always going to run a 5K, and sometimes they'll do 4 miles. But it's just just the adjustments of the race time, and the length of the race. And there's going to be there's only one race a week in college most of the time. And sometimes what we're going to do next year is maybe take more time off during the season. Maybe have 1 or 2 less meets during the year, because now we're going to be running in conference next year. So we want to build toward that, and that way we use an extra week for training rather than in the race and recovery mode, which is what you do a lot in high school.
And off season is upon us right now. Reflecting off this past season, what adjustments do you have to make for the upcoming season to have a better season?
I think to have a better season, you just have to really concentrate on miles. Now that we have a season under our belt, we have these kids here, they're already here. So now they know in the spring, we're working on miles. In the summer, we're working on miles. You really have to do that. They're already here, part of the program. When you're starting out, you still want to put that in place. But now it's a little bit different for having the first year under the belt. They know, okay, now we got to work on miles, we got to work on speed, we got to make sure we get enough sleep, and diet. So that'll be the new adjustment for this year, for the off season.
In your coaching technique and style overall, 1 through 10, what do you rate yourself as a coach at Governor State University this past season? 10 being the highest.
What do I rate myself? I don't want to say. I think in some areas, I've been an 8 or a 9. I'm usually pretty hard on myself, and it's I would say probably an 8, 7 or 8. I don't, I'll have to wait and see what Coach Bates says about that later on. But when we've had our talks, I mean, we've had a lot of good talks. He's given me a lot of, he's been coaching longer than I have. Different sport, but still, you got to listen to, to that experience. And I think that I've done a pretty good job in helping to, get the program started. And now I have to expand on that. Okay, now next year, it's not my freshman year anymore. Now the expectations are going to be a little bit greater, and I'm going to expect a little bit more out of myself, out of my assistant coach, and out of my runners.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5, 10, 15 years as the head coach at Governor State University as the cross country coach?
I hope this is the last job in coaching that I want. I would like to stay here. I would like to stay here, 10 years, 15, however long that is. But I see this as being my final coaching stop. And I want to build a program. I want to put cross country on the map at Governor State, and that'll also help the other sports bring kids to the university, not only to run cross country, but to get a college degree. That's the number one thing when I talk to a parent, is I say, your son or daughter is going to get a college degree from Governor State University. That's the most important thing. And if they have that opportunity to compete in intercollegiate athletics, that's a bonus. But if they're here for 4 years and they don't leave with a degree, then I failed as a coach and I failed as an educator. And I don't want to do that. I want these kids, these young student athletes, to leave with a degree so they could go out and work and be productive and start their career. And maybe they'll want to come back and coach sometime at a high school or at a university, especially if they go into education.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you for the interview. I appreciate you so much for this.
I appreciate that. Thank you,
Coach.
That's it.
That's it.
Is that a wrap?
That is a wrap. We're done.
We're done?